Hey everybody, hey traders, Chris over here. It is around 1:30 p.m. Eastern Time on Thursday, March 5th. We are one day away from non-farm payroll, and this might actually be one of my first trading view videos and posts for the year. I hope that it's not, but it might be. Surprisingly, not a lot has happened. At the same time, a lot of things have happened. So you possibly have read about the dispersion trade, which is under the surface. We just have a monster rotation happening in the S&P. You're seeing leading sectors like energy out to the races, up 25, 26, 27% year to date. Meanwhile, your tech plays, software plays, financials getting hit relatively hard here recently. But long story short is the dispersion trade is this. You have about one third of the S&P 500 showing signs of 10, 15, 20 plus percent swings up or down. Meanwhile, the indexes just kind of stay the same. So year to date, this is the S&P. I think we are essentially flat for the year. Let's go to a 12-month chart. We are just slightly negative on the year, just a tiny bit. So here is the open. Markets are down about 0.8% for the year. You know, a correction would make some sense, and let's talk about those key levels here. So I've been watching a couple things on my charts. Technically, here is a 14 to 15 week range where price has not broken the lows. Every time we test the 100-day moving average, we have a strong 0 DT move. Every time we test the 100-day moving average, again, a strong 0 DT move. If we break this floor, I mean, this is what I'd be looking for tomorrow with non-farm payroll. If we have a red candle breaking below this yellow box, or the weekly candle closing below this yellow box, to me, that could be an opportunity for the bears, at least in the near term, to grab some control. The green lines on my chart represent the breakouts. So this would be your measured move. The 100% breakout would get us to around 65.50. I do have some butterfly traps sitting there. I also have some butterfly traps sitting here. I'm looking to see if the price breaks out in the next maybe 1 to 2 weeks. Bigger picture, let's zoom out. So that measured move to about 6,500, 6,550 is kind of area one for support. If we go further than that, let's talk percentages on a decline or correction. That would be about a 6.5% correction from the highs, maybe slightly more. Let me double check that again. So right from the recent all-time highs down to the November 20th and October 10th candle, just over 7%. So about, let's just say 7.19%. And if we proceed to break, retest and fail, and then go lower, that potential corrective structure could get us down into like 6,200 or even 61.50. It could overshoot with the wick and even come down to like 6,000. To me, I'm a buyer in those areas. So if we have the market offering support in here, and like I said, if it's break, retest, and fall, that's going to be a pretty painful swing for a lot of investors. But I think people that have been patient and waiting for price to come to them, that's a really pretty exciting support level to buy, or at least a dip to buy, because we talk about peak to trough around 12%. If it overshoots to 15, even wicks to 20, okay, so you have a 10, 15, 20% discount on a great index. Are you willing to hold that bigger picture? Sure. What I've been doing lately with the VIX is selling a lot of premium. Pretty much my entire year so far, as this has been really, really choppy, has been 0 DTE range trading, stacking in some 5, 10, 15, 20%, puts and ratio spreads and things like that, or even further, because we had the VIX in the 20s, is I'm going out to June, July, August, September. I'm waiting for the October strikes and expirations to line up, but I'm doing a lot of put selling on SPY, QQQ, DIA, IWM back to April 2025 lows. So we will see how this all shakes out. First things first, we're sideways. We're still stuck. There's no confirmation. Perhaps the non-farm number this week gets us into this, bearish breakout. I mean, you'd think with the AI disruption, you'd think with an Iran conflict and Middle East war, escalating right now, and all the softening labor market and all the, really the AI narrative has turned somewhat negative, despite all the hyperscalers doing deals and the circular financing stuff. Seems pretty doom and gloom when everyone's just like, I'm going to lose my job to AI. I mean, if you use it, you're boosting productivity. AI is certainly not flawless. It can do a lot of things. In my experience, I use ChatGPT and I use Claude, and I'm building some stuff that I never could build, and that's cool and that's exciting. Do I think I'm replaced as a trader? Not really. Do I think I'm replaced on content? Not really. So I think the reality is we have to learn to coexist with it. and use it as a tool and, harness the power for good and build amazing things. So, does the market like it? I mean, the AI narrative remains somewhat intact. Hyperscalers are still spending money. I think that now investors are questioning that. So that is why we have things like the equal weighted S&P that are, pretty healthy. And we have things with the sectors this year. Look at XLE sector performance. Let's just go to the big yearly candles here. Okay, there's your energy sector. The physical needs of AI, the physical needs of computing power, insatiable appetite, insatiable demand. It is up 25, 26% for the year. Take a look at some of these others. Okay, very flat on communication services, flat on discretionary, down actually, up a little bit on staples. Now, this is a beat up sector last year, so staples are up a little bit. They were off to a pretty good start. This may still be hanging on to double digits. We're up about 10% right on the nose. Energy, like I said, 25, 26%. XOP, another energy play, not a sector necessarily, but just up there with it. So there's another 30% on XOP. That's working pretty well on some of those naked puts I have. Financials. I thought financials would be pretty good. Not yet. I don't like seeing the kind of the dents in JP Morgan and Goldman Sachs right now. They're down, 10, 15% respectively. Financials as a sector down a little bit. We'll see. I mean, maybe this has more to do with the Fed and certain, duration requirements and things like that. But I think ultimately there's going to be plenty of liquidity provided to the financial markets if we ever have to have a bit of a scare or a credit crunch. XLV is healthcare, flat. I am long healthcare. I was long down here with some puts. Here's industrials up for the year. Here's basic materials up for the year. Here's real estate coming back a little bit. Mortgages just dropped below 6%, I think, for the 30-year. Still high compared to, relative standards the last maybe 10 years or so. But it's at least an improvement from the 7+%, almost 8% mortgages we saw just the last couple of years. So improvements, does it get better? Do we see a sub 6? Do we see a mid 5s, low 5s? I'd refinance at that. I just closed on a house at 6.6. I'd love to see a 5.6 or lower. I think it's worth it to refi. So I'm in that camp, just patiently waiting for some rates. Tech down for the year. Utilities up for the year. Just go back to that list. It's like, what is up? Utilities, materials, industrials, precious metals, energy, the physical demand. This is a massive rotation. So, am I chasing this stuff? Not really. What am I long? Well, I'm long all those sectors I mentioned because that was a good rotational trade. I'm not long staples, even though that'd be a great shot this year. And then for the actual build out, ExxonMobil, I'm long ExxonMobil. Let's go back to the daily chart here. Pretty clean breakout on the technicals. So I've been long the stock since about 105, and that's doing well. And I'm going to hold this, but this little breakout here, if we pull back to, this low to high pull back to, let's say 130, 125, 120, I'll buy more. If we just flag and head higher, I own it. I'm going to let it run. I'm also selling puts back down to this 100 handle. Chevron, CVX, same thing. We had a really nice run. I've owned this thing since 140. We had lows around 133, bought it at 140. It's up to 188. Not bad. Is this a double top or is this a breakout? I'm measuring the move here. Go back and put a swing on this. This is symmetry. So this is where I started to put in some ratio spreads, naked puts, and buying shares. My target's going to be up here towards symmetry at 229. So I'd love to get out of this thing at like 225. That's kind of it. The rest is, precious metals. I'm in CEF. Long and being patient. I think we still have pullbacks. I've talked about this now. I'm probably one of the only people talking about this because everyone's so bullish on gold. They just want to jump into it. Look, I'm just looking at this from a technical standpoint. Gold to me is more attractive with a technical find of this 200-day moving average. I know that seems crazy. Like, Chris, there's no way that the gold is going to drop another 18, 19%. We don't know that. And technically speaking, with a 30+% extension of the 200-day moving average and 600 plus bars, this is my biggest sticky magnet to keep price from ripping too much higher. So even if gold just goes chop city, and this is one thing that could happen, I call this the tuning fork, which is parabolic move and then a disruptive movement here, and we just have lower highs and higher lows, and it becomes a big wedge. Okay, I'm still bullish on that wedge if that forms. But from a technical side, if we get a movement that goes high to low, we just had a Gartley pattern complete right at that green line, and if it turns back down to equal lows or hits my 200-day moving average, this is where I want to buy. I want to buy gold. Okay, I've been in CEF and PHYS because they're a fraction of the price. But if I'm going to trade gold futures or dollar cost average into spot gold or CFDs or trade GLD, I want it to be a better price. So in this area between equal lows or symmetry and that 200-day moving average, that's where I'm trying to be patient. Maybe I'm right, maybe I'm wrong. Because if price just goes sideways, 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 wedges, well, ultimately the 200-day moving average catches up. It's still a buy opportunity. I just want that to get hit. That's it. Silver, I like silver. My exposure again, CEF, PHYS. That's a way to participate. I had a great run from this October pullback. I've been long silver since 2021 and 2022. And I closed out a lot of that during this run up in October. I bought right back in. It wasn't a huge position, but it was up, that 150+% run. So I'm enjoying, again, good gains on silver. I'm still trying to dollar cost average back into it. If we do offer any type of pullback, and it could be similar to gold, we could have high, low, maybe chop city like this until it wedges. That's fine. I'll wait. I'll trade a breakout. I can trade some silver futures if I like the setup. But if this is going to be high, low, lower, high, lower, low, I want to scoop it up, own it, hold it back to these all-time highs. I don't really care how long that takes. To me, it's an allocation, not necessarily just a trade. I can do both. I can buy and hold as an investor, and I can obviously trade, good technicals and see if I can get some supplemental gains, right? Bitcoin. Bitcoin came up to about 73,000, certainly better than the 60K handle. Be on the lookout for Bitcoin to possibly make its way back to this trend line. If we get a break and a run, I could see Bitcoin coming back to like 90,000 to even 95,000 before a bigger turn. Here's my bigger technical outlook on Bitcoin. It would be something like this. High to low. Okay. I guess technically we'd have a flat pattern, so let me delete that. Something like this. If we go high, low, little wave structure there, we pull back for a flat pattern. This is the perfect spot to confuse investors right in here. Why? Because if you're bullish, you've been riding this thing from 60 on hopes and dreams. If you're bearish, this is a beautiful spot for low risk, high reward dump to symmetry. We've had 70+% corrections in Bitcoin in the past. I measured this thing out. If we go 70+%, again, we could be in the 40K or 30K level for Bitcoin. I'd like to see that offer a stronger bottom for more asymmetry. But I am, patient but cautious on Bitcoin as far as being a long-term bull. I'm a trader, and I could see, Bitcoin offering some decent repair, but not necessarily getting back up to all-time highs anytime soon. So if we repair up to like 90 to 100K, that's fine. I think that's a sucker's bet. I think the bears take that back over, and it probably flushes back down to 60 or lower. I'd take some trades. I'd take some bear call spreads. I'd stack in some hedges. I would be short, but it'd be defined risk, and hopefully offer some asymmetry if I'm right on that short. What else? Copper. Gold, silver, copper, kind of crazy stuff. Platinum, palladium, rhodium. I mean, if you're looking at precious metals, industrials, they all have a time and a place. I like Brazil. I like non-US. VT is one thing I'm trading right now that's non-US. This is total stock market. I'm trading SCHY for total stock market. We've had a bit of a pullback on the world with this flare up in Iran. I think that's going to be short-lived. I think that, similar to what they say with a lot of things news-wise, is this too shall pass. So we could see that happening where it's just a dip to be bought. What else? Japan is EWJ. I like this. It's had a bad pullback. I mean, 20% of the oil supply going through Iran or the Strait of Hormuz is Asia related. So I mean, it's a disruption to global supply, which is why oil is also on the move and it's been ripping. I mean, that's a pretty solid run. I told a couple of traders that follow me, I'm like, I can't chase oil. And I didn't. I mean, I was long oil in here at the $55 handle, had a nice gain in oil last year, but I was not bullish into some type of geopolitical event like this that pays, this is a 40% move to the upside. I didn't get the benefit of that. Now, if this runs completely unhinged and completely inefficient, more than likely I'm going to say that this area probably hits a bit of an apex, and we probably have to do something geopolitically to, I don't know, put in a peace deal or something where it's like, this is getting a little crazy, because this would be the instant flare up in inflation globally. Certainly in the US, it's one thing we're watching very closely is grocery store prices and gas at the pump. So we're already up again another 6% today. I think that's why the market's also selling off. You go back to the VIX today. VIX is up, I believe. VIX is up about 20% on the day. And this has been the story all freaking year, is just look at all these daily chop sessions. We've had plenty of pokes, 20 plus fall, 20 plus fall. Up here, we almost have like a new level of volatility in the 20s, 20 to 25, all the way up here to 28, where we had back in the holidays season. This was October, November of last year. Are we going to run up higher again? I mean, vol suppression is very real, but if we bust through 30, I think 30 to 50 could be a very scary moment in the markets. Nobody wants to have fun with that, but here we are just sliding a little bit lower. So here's my, daily candle. So like I said, going back to this chart, if the daily candle or the weekly candle with non-farm payroll tomorrow closes below this range, I think the path of least resistance is going to be a bit of a short-term bearish move to kind of settle back in, get some of the speculation out of the market, get some of the bubbliness out of the market, and then see if we can get a healthy discount to then, whatever support's out there, whatever structure's out there, whatever tailwinds are out there. Let's see if we can find some support between 65.50 or down to even like 61.50. I'm a buyer at these levels. I'm still pretty bullish on U.S. markets going into the midterms. I'm trying to generate as much gains as I can safely. I'm trying to stay out of the way. I don't want to get suckered into aggressively buying a dip on a 3 to 4% correction when I think the market could really correct 10, 15, 20%. And if we get that, I'm a buyer. So I'm just kind of watching this dispersion trade with open eyes, head on a swivel like we should be, because a lot of crazy stuff is happening in individual stocks, but the indexers is still showing a little bit of calmness. So if it's breakdown, failed retest, and fall, something like this, if it's breakdown, retest, and breakdown again, that's going to rattle the markets a little bit. That's going to rattle the confidence. We're going to see a lot of bearishness, and that's fine because I look at it as an opportunity to find some support, and we'll see. Okay. I guess I'll wrap it up there. Been going for about 16 minutes. Nice to see everybody. Hope all is well. Hope you're having a good trading year so far. I'm grinding my face off. Lots of trades. It's been a very active year so far, even just a couple months into it. But so far, churning some profit, have some nice premium. I just, time is my friend. I'm monetizing time sitting on these trades, and hopefully we can trade well and have a decent year. I'm thinking that the momentum, the 20, 25, 30% index trade is over for this year. I think that we are going to, at best, maybe have a break-even year. My goal is to generate, if I could do 10, 15% on a flat market, I'd be very happy with that, especially keeping the drawdowns pretty tight. If we have an upside move where maybe the market does do 5 or 10%, I'm obviously hoping to beat that at, maybe double. So lots of opportunities, never a dull moment. I'll see y'all soon. Thanks for watching. Bye.